It's another journey, and today's journey, our guestess began their professional path as a civil engineer, but soon realized that their true drive was storytelling. Guided by curiosity and the need to connect more deeply with people, our guest pivoted into acting and directing, which brings them to the discipline, analytical mindset, and problem-solving tools from their engineering background. Since then, they've been writing, directing, and performing across Argentina and Chile, and they have directed two short films, Mano Negra, and that was released in 2023, and they debut as a director, and Los Monstruos, excuse my language if I pronounce those wrong, I know you'll correct me, no doubt, and that was released in 2024. And they explored darker psychological themes and premiered on the international festival circuit. And both projects allowed the guests to blend technical precision with emotional honesty, two qualities that continue to shape its own creative voice. I say no more, and welcome Bruno to the journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for having me. It's
You're
like I'm
welcome.
really excited to be here to sharing with you my story. Because it's been a journey. I have to say that it has been a journey, and the I would say like the most challenging part has been like connecting with myself, with what I truly wanted. So, like, let's say for me, it was a very important subject, like my job or my activity, what I was supposed to do. It was a really important subject. So at first. I was 18 years old. I was very young. So I chose civil engineering because I was really curious about it. I didn't really know exactly what that was about. But when you're 18 years old, it's like it's very difficult because you don't know yourself as well. So at that time, it wasn't my story. It wasn't like, for example, my family telling me, Bruno, you have to study civil engineering. We are not going to support you if you study arts. It wasn't my story. My story was like my family, thank God, it was really supportive, but I very happily went into civil engineering. So, because like at that time, at that moment, a career in the performing arts wasn't even like an option. It was for me, it wasn't even like an option, like a valid option. It wasn't even on the radar. So. I started civil engineering. I really liked it at the beginning because I really love math, physics, and mechanics. I really liked it. And then it became like really daunting, like to continue with my studies because it's really civil engineering is really difficult.
Mhm.
And that came at the same time with a personal life crisis because I was like entering my adulthood and with some family issues. My father unfortunately passed away at that time, so it was a very those were very troubling times at that moment. But I kept on studying. I said like, okay, I'm going to just finish this. And at that moment, it was like I had like really severe depression for like in the year 2018. It was a really dark year, and I didn't like. I realized that I didn't like civil engineering because I was like more in touch with the professional field and said like, is this what I'm going to do 24/7? And I really didn't like it. I came to the realization that I didn't like it. Then I didn't have in my head again. There weren't many options. Like there weren't other options. Like say, okay, I'm quitting civil engineering at that time, and I'm going to become an actor. It wasn't an option at that moment. So I finished. I finished civil engineering, and I worked as a civil engineer for a couple of years. Then I came across an acting, let's say, workshop. It was very kind of like a hobby, and I really liked it. Then the pandemic came, so most of the acting workshops became online, which was a bit boring, but at the same time, there were many workshops about film. So I came across another workshop and said, like, I love from always, I really love movies. And I said, like, okay, this is really interesting. Then, as all the restrictions from the pandemic lift off, I continue on my journey as an actor, and I say, like, I really like this. Like, by experiencing it, by having the experience of acting, I say, like, I really like this. And as I came as I dug deeper into this profession, I say, like, I really like this. It's not so much as a hobby, but it is more fun. It is more fun. I want it to occupy like a centerpiece in my life, because what I really like about acting, besides that it's really fun, it's really playful, it connects you with the joy of play that we usually have when we're kids and not when we're adults. So apart from the fact that it is fun, for me personally, it really resonated with my core values, that it is to make something, like to do something that moves people, that makes people feel something.
Mm,
So it really resonated with me, because I personally believe that the worst thing that could happen to us is not feeling bad things, is not feeling anything at all. So for me, it really resonated, like, acting from that place. So to it has this emotion, and it is very intimate, that we get together to tell a story from the actors and listen a story from the audience, and we with the only objective to feel something, maybe laugh, maybe cry. And I really resonated with that. So I say, like, I really want this to occupy a larger part in my life. And at that moment, I was working for Italy, as a software engineer, on the software engineering field, for a structural engineering software. So it was related with civil engineering,
mm,
but it was software, and it was fully remote, because I live in Argentina. I'm from Argentina. It was fully remote, and it was very lonely. It was very, very lonely, because it was like I was sitting in front of my desk. I was acting, I was taking acting classes, but I was sitting in front of my desk, like, completely alone. And it was really daunting. I really didn't like it. So at that moment, I said, like, it is time, like, to make that leap into, like, to quit civil engineering and to become a full-time actor. I said, like, okay, so, because I do some serious overthinking. That's also my personality. I said, like, okay, we need a plan. Okay, we need to save up some money. Okay, and when everything was ready, it was like, oh, okay, I'm not getting any younger. Like, let's say age doesn't matter, but I wasn't getting any younger. And I took that leap. I said to my boss in Italy, okay, I quit, because I want to dedicate. At the beginning, I was a bit embarrassed, because it was like, I wasn't completely free from all the prejudice that having a career in the performing arts has. Like, for example, for me, it was like, how you're insane. How are you going to quit, like, civil engineering, like the one of the highest paying fields, to become a full-time actor? And for me, it was like, yes, yes, you're absolutely right. I'm insane, but that's what I want in my
mm,
life. So, It's not a guarantee that it's going to be a successful journey, but at least I know that I've tried something from the depth of my heart that I really want. That, for example, I made the effort to live a life that I really want to live. I don't know what's at the end. I don't know if there's a goal. I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know what I'm going to find on the way, but at least I know that I've tried to live a life more aligned with my core values. So if I need the money, I need to return to civil engineering. I really don't know yet, because many things can happen in life. I
mm,
As I learned in 2018, your life can change in a second. So I made that leap, um, with a lot of uncertainty, because that's it. And okay, so I made that leap, and at the same time, I really said I really love film, so I said, like, I really want to direct. So I took like a very simple idea, and I created a short film, which uh, which which was a very personal idea, which was mainly about the dark times that I was experiencing on 2018, because I was having severe panic attacks, and I wanted to just a very short film, like illustrating that what really happens to your mind and your body, like the feeling. So, and I really enjoy myself on the place of the director. I really enjoyed it. And then that was 2023. Then 2024, I made a more committed short film with actors, and it was so much fun, because I think the biggest challenge, it was overcoming perfectionism, in the way that what am I doing? I didn't study for this. I'm not experienced enough. I don't have enough money. But I overcame that perfection, and I had a lot of fun on the way. I found that myself, that I'm capable of doing all those things. So it was a lot of fun. It
mm.
was really a lot of fun.
And, I've done acting when I was in school, performing arts, and I always remember it very well because the first year I was doing performing arts, I was not allowed to do the class because I was a disruption.
Hmm.
They wouldn't allow me to do it. So I had to drop it for a year. And then the year afterwards, I was allowed back in. But that was the pivotal moment for me because it allowed me to have that place once a week for like an hour and a half, because it was a double lesson usually, to offload all the tension. It's a
Hmm.
way of freeing your spirit to be allowed to say, okay, we can do this, and you can act different, you can sound different. There's lots of ways of doing it. And I
Yes,
remember
yes.
the first story that we read as a performance that year. I was 14, no, 13. I just turned 13, and they said, okay, we want you to play a character that's 6 years old.
Hmm.
And that was a challenge for me because yes, I can adapt my voice. I can sing it too if I want to, but I had to do it with an accent, and because my accent, where I come from in England originally, you
Hmm.
can hear it now. It's very thick, and sometimes it's hard to understand. But I had to adapt my voice to the north of England, so I just had ear me. I had to change it in such a way. But I also adapted to being a 6-year-old. But I
Wow.
felt so fresh in doing it because it was a way of just like, and I remember the character's name. His name was Billy. So I'm like, I'm Billy. I'm 6 years old. We mates and let me done. So that sort of
Wow.
example. It
Yes,
was a fake
yes.
way of being, and I enjoyed it. And it over the last 4 years of education, it became one of my favorite subjects, looking forward to, and it was one of my better grades when I left school because I was enjoying myself.
And I think people notice that when you're really enjoying yourself and when you're passionate about something, you can really it shows, and people also get excited,
Mm.
so that's such a fun experience. I mean, and do you have any plans to continue acting, or
Well, I've done voiceovers, you know,
voiceovers?
because
Voiceovers are fun. Fun.
because I remember, I've done, you know, radio work as I've just explained earlier. But the fact was, in my last year before I left England, I was a producer on the radio show, and every week this presenter had a cat and dog that needed rehoming. Now,
Mm-hmm.
now they knew that that person was like, we got a cat and dog, they need rehoming. That's it, what they got to say. And it was written in such a way that it was scripted to make it sound like it was the cat and dog. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, because I wasn't, I'm not saying I was not allowed on there, but I was allowed on there, but I just couldn't automatically have my own voice. So I said, what about me just going on there and I be the voice of the cat and dog? And the presenter who I was producer for said, okay, because she was a trained actress as well. And,
Uh-huh.
she was highly regarded back in the day. But she said, why not? So I said, okay. So she said, today we got the cat and dog. Who we got today? Like talking as if she was talking to a pet. So it's like, hey, my name is Doug. I'm a dog and I'm 20, 2 years old and I'm boisterous. So I was using my talent to be that voice for the cat, for the dog, but it added
That's so much
personality.
fun.
Yeah. But I read the script that was emailed in, but
Hmm.
I put myself into the character of that dog or that cat, and every character was different. And because it had to be different, I couldn't be the same voice week in, week out. I had to be, oh, I'm dog. And then the next week, I'm Tilly the cat. Look at you. I am. So it was
Yeah,
a
exactly.
simple,
Uh, Exactly. And as many things, it's like you would never know unless
yes.
you try and see how you feel with in in that specific situation.
But I know how to be serious as well. So when it came to the travel exam, because I sometimes did the travel, it's like on the roads today. So I adapted to the serious nature of on the road today. We have roadworks on the A3076, for example, between Penzance and Newlyn. I grew used to that. And
Hmm.
then you adapt to certain circumstances. Like I remember, and it's me when I first did the radio. I had a mobile phone. The former Queen of England, when she was alive, was coming to town. We only heard about it that morning, but I said, okay, I'll get tasked down to where she's going to come in. And, no one expected anything else of it. So they said, okay. I managed to get me and another presenter into the press enclosure, even though we didn't have ID badges at the time. And I remember rightly, I said, the Queen is now getting out because she's on the train. She's now off the train. I used a serious voice. But
Wow.
the funny
Wow.
element of it was when she was walking past, I didn't say the Queen is walking past me. She's within distance. I said she is within sneezing distance. So I said something funny inadvertently, but she's within sneezing distance of me.
Wow. Wow. So
And then
that's
the
so
other
interesting.
presenter at the time, he was 16, I was 26. He was like, wow, David, I was amazed at that. I said, why is that? He said, well, I was the Jenny Bond where I was, because he is openly gay. And even then, I think he knew he was gay. And he was like, I was the Jenny Bond and you was the Nicholas Richard, the more serious one. I said, you had to be that so serious because that is what the Queen is. When the Queen is in your presence or the King's in your presence, you got to be a serious tone.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I
but
would be
he was
so
excited because
intimidated.
I got us into the press enclosure, but I maintained the voice of this is the Queen within, I was that voice of reason.
Wow, 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 wow. That's
But
so
but
interesting.
performing, when you are on the radio, not everyone automatically will recognize your voice. Like if they listen to this now, they will say, "What's David like?" Now, I
Hmm.
know I do upload as videos as well, so they will automatically will see it. So they will say, oh, David's like that. But the fact is, if they just listen and I do, okay, the different voices, like this.
They would never know. Yes, they would picture a face in their heads, but it would never be the same. It would never be the same.
So I could,
It could be a different picture for every single person
yeah,
that
so
is
I could
listening to
do
you.
that kind of voice where I don't act like this and I could be established like that. Example.
Exactly, definitely. I think voice acting is a huge, it's a huge subject because it's like it has happened for me, like saying, okay, so I know how to act, so I can do voice talent, and it's really difficult. It's a completely different subject because it's very subtle, all the things that you could do. So, but it's also a lot of fun. It's also a lot of fun.
But the funny thing is, when I was told, because obviously, like I said, when I was billing, I had a book in front of me. I was reading the script. Now, one
Hmm.
of the projects in school when I was 15 was to get a script book and copy that script word for word and read it without the script book. Now,
Hmm.
the other two people with me, they were fine. They learned their words. Now,
Hmm.
I didn't intentionally deliberately do this, but I thought I'm not going to learn these words word for word. And the funny thing was, when it came to the performance, because we had to perform it, I just ad-libbed. They still did the script word for word, but I went off the cuff and said, "Well, I want this," and I was ad-libbing the script because I didn't remember the old script, even though the first teacher was the director who had the script in front of him to say, "Okay, David, if I say one word, you remember." It's like he was sat
Yeah,
there, and I remember sitting there. But I was like, I can't remember if one word and remember the one word. So I was like, David, spoon. So, for example, I then ad-libbed onto the spoon. Okay, spoon, knife, fork, shovel.
exactly.
And it matched with what they're saying because in my own logic, it was about remembering because I was playing a mad doctor. So I
Hmm.
said, spoon, knife, fork, shovel. I was being ad-libbing to the fact of, okay, you said instrument. I don't know exactly the word. I think it was literally something along spoon, knife, fork, but I wanted to make it more funny. So I added shovel, grave digger, that sort of thing. And the
Yeah,
funny thing
exactly.
was, they didn't panic, the people I was working with, because they had to remain professional. And like I
Uh-huh.
said, it was my better subject. I still got a decent education out of doing performing arts because I was just ad-libbing. Now, if it was a play where you say, okay, David, I want you just to be this, but this is the way I want you to be. So if you tell me as a director, I want you to be a mad scientist, but I want you
Hmm.
to make up your own script, which most, improvisation is good.
Yeah,
I will be that mad professor. I will be like, okay, I'm not a mad professor. I'm gonna make more scientific experiments, and I'm gonna be, I'm
yeah.
not gonna perform to the script because why not? I know m- major TV shows, radio shows, whatever, do have to have a script, but I feel like if you was to say improvisation, I'll be fine on improvisation.
Hmm. Improvisation is really fun, and I think what plays a really important part, it's your the people you're working with, like all the other actors that are on scene.
Mm,
Because if you forget something, if you I believe that if you forget something and you're connected to the present moment, the circumstances of what you're playing, and you have really good professionals working with you, I believe that there's no reason to panic because they're going to carry you along, and you're going to, okay, I remember now. And
yeah,
because sometimes I think improvisation is really fun, but sometimes it gets out of hand.
yeah. And
Sometimes
you
it's
got to know the exact limits how it will get up. And like
exactly because otherwise it's like this has no ending, and
But
We're just rambling on stage.
I kept to the limits of where I knew, but also knew where to not because I was in school, so we couldn't swear. But I knew not to swear. I knew not to cross the boundary where it would be offensive. I made it so funny. I was like, another word was, you know, water. And I said, I don't want water, but I want whiskey. I was making it more funny because I wanted something stronger. So it was more enunciated. And the,
Yes, I think that that's very important because otherwise you're just like just like saying text out loud and that's it. It's just like you standing on stage just saying text. If you put something from you like and it is something new, it becomes much more fun, much more interesting. And that's I think that's the objective to engage the audience and to make people feel something. Otherwise it's just like it's just words
yeah,
that somebody's saying.
yeah, it's like, my name is David. I really sound serious. So let's read the script. I got no script in front of me. I know I got that script. I could easily read it, but I'm not going to read it. So that's why, like, I read it if I have to. So if I wanted to, I could easily say about, this is me being serious now. Today, our guest is building a bilingual on-camera career. Tell us about it. But I'm not. I'm just letting you be you because it's the natural way.
I absolutely love it. I just have the question about you. What inspired you to make this podcast, this space? How is it going so far with
The
your
podcast,
project?
the podcast started from the idea because I've always loved podcasts. And
Okay,
in the 2004, that shows how old I am now. So 20 years, like 21 years ago, podcasts were a
okay.
new thing. It was a new service per se, because that's what it was. It was just a service to get people listening
Mhm.
to additional material, or if you missed something on the radio, it's a way of listening to something that you missed on the radio.
Yeah.
So I was inspired by the fact that there was people in England doing these podcasts. And then I became part of the radio station. And at the early days, it was just listening on the internet. Then it became on the app. And I said, it'd be fun for people to listen again. So I was incorporating what I knew from a few years back. And I said, it'd be good for people to listen to that show again or that podcast, interview again, because you don't always have the opportunity as a on a radio station to put that interview out again, unless you
Yeah.
say to a presenter, do you want to put out this interview I did with, for example, Bruno. So they
Exactly.
took the idea up and they put it as a listen again service. Now they do the old show, so you do listen to the old show, but that was that
Mhm.
start. And then I came to America. I was doing the,
When did you come? When did you come to America?
I came to America in 2018.
2018. Okay.
So
Okay.
pre-pandemic and, before. And in the beginning, the job I had, I'm not saying it was a bad job. It was a respectable job. And I was cleaning. I support all janitors, custodians, whatever you want to describe them as. And the pandemic came along. And
Mm-hmm.
I was still being a janitor, custodian, cleaner, whatever, EPS technician, whatever you want to describe it as. And
Okay.
I was seeing life before me, because me cleaning, I had to go into the major areas where COVID was high. I had to wear a
Mm-hmm.
mask constantly.
Yeah.
But here
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
every single room, that person's got COVID, or they got COVID, or I think they got COVID. And then you saw
Mm-hmm.
people on in intensive care. They got COVID. They
Mm-hmm.
not got much time left because they dying. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
I thought everyone's got a story. They've had stories in their life because I did see elderly people. And I said, why not explore people's journeys in life?
Nice. Nice.
And the early days were just me reaching out to the few people I knew at the time on my social media and LinkedIn. And I was like, do you want to share your journey? Now, the first
Mm-hmm.
person I interviewed was an actress. from a TV
Okay.
show I followed all my life, and she was on it for like 3, 4 years. She said, sure. She was part of that. And then the next podcast was me interviewing the creators of that TV show. So a TV
Mm-hmm.
show I followed all my life, I got to interview the creators, the writers, the brains behind that TV show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I started exploring people with autism. I started exploring people who wanting to explore their life because they feel like everyone should have a bucket list. Those sort of examples. Someone with cerebral palsy. I
Mm-hmm.
explored, and then I thought it's good to explore people's lives as a whole. And I just started progressing more from the, and I was on that iPad at the time. I progressed more from the iPad onto a screen, and I was like, tell me your journey. Tell
Mm-hmm.
me what inspires you. Tell me what's inspired you. Tell me what you're doing in life. Tell me what you want to tell the world without being able to say, no, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the inner journey of that person. So, me talking to you now, I'm exploring your life. Now, it reminds me of a radio show in England known as Desert Island Discs. Now,
Mm-hmm.
now, Desert Island Discs is about interviewing people's lives and exploring what would you bring to the desert island? What sort of music would you bring? What would you play? What would you have?
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is minus the music because copyright
Mhm.
reasons we're not allowed to put music in unless it's your own material. But it's the fact that I'm
Mhm.
exploring people's lives. I've done this for 5 years now, over 200 episodes. I don't know what number it is because when this goes out, it could be 215, it could be a 216 because I got a backlog to upload. But
Mhm.
the fact is, I've done 15 seasons, as they call it in America.
Wow.
15
Wow, that's
seasons,
so much.
15 seasons of 15 episodes per season.
Wow. Wow. Wow, that's so interesting. So, like, to be honest, I'm completely honored, like, to be a part of your journey as well.
Mm,
Like for me, it's an honor. Like really, it's like to give me this space. If it resonates with anyone, because I'm not here like to tell people what to do. I imagine you're not as well. So, but if that's I think the importance of other people's stories because it resonates with things that we want to do.
mm,
Sometimes it's the push that we need to in order to take action
yeah.
to follow what we want to do.
Now,
So if it
the,
resonates with anyone, I'll be more than happy.
it's like the ethos back in the day was hashtag share a wise word or two. But I've
Mhm,
altered that over the years because I believe it's about amusement, educating, inspiring,
mhm,
observing, and understanding. And I
mhm,
used the 5 vowels there, A-E-I-O-U. I did that intentionally because you don't want to hear a normal word begin with C, for example, or F. You want to make it stand out. So I aim to amuse, I aim to educate, I aim to inspire, I aim to observe, because when you're watching, you're observing people when they talk. And the most of all, you want to understand.
mhm.
And
Exactly,
when you tell your
exactly.
story, that is what it's about. Like I said, I've interviewed an famous film actress. I didn't know she was a film actress. She said
Mhm.
when she was talking about her being on red carpet, I was like, red carpet? I Googled afterwards because I don't often Google guests unless I really have to. And
Okay.
yeah, she was in the Never Ending Story Part 2.
Wow.
But the fact was, she just did, she said that she was an author. I didn't realize that.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm,
a famous interview I like referring to in recent times, Squid Game. I got connected with someone from Squid Game, not the main character, but I was on the podcast channel on Facebook, and he was like coming on saying, "I want to talk about this," and everyone was like, "Is he really who he is?" I spoke to him. I still didn't believe it until I actually saw him, and he
Wow.
was like, "It's not about Squid Game; it's about who I am." And I said, "I get that." And then I recorded him twice because the first time we came out with a lot of political views, which it's not safe for work, let's just say. And
But
I
that's
kept
insane.
I kept the original, but he
Mhm.
realized afterwards, he's like, I can't have that because that ruined my reputation. I said, well, you said it. And I said, I'll keep it. He said, as long as it doesn't go out there. I said, it won't go out there, but I'll record you again. He said, that's fine. So I recorded him again, and it was 10:30 at night because it was like 12 hours difference because he's in Bangkok living. And
Wow.
as you know beforehand, I was talking to you. He was talking to me. He was passionate. He said, how did that sound? I said, you didn't tell me he was ready to record. He said, really? I said, yeah, because I normally count down. You heard what I said, three, two, one, record. And he's like, so I've got to do that again. I said, yeah. He said, oh, what the heck? He didn't care. But the fact was, he was open about it. And then to top it off, he made reference to the first interview. He didn't exactly say what was said in that interview, but he said, you like me now, and you liked me the other day when you recorded me. How do you, and I will say it because I do put explicits on it sometimes, but he said, how do you fucking like me then? And I said, I like you for who you are because he was so genuine. Now, yes, he's got his strong beliefs about political society and he's done things in his life, but
Of course.
that's his opinion. I don't want to stop him having his opinion. Yes,
No, not at all.
he's done things with the Beatles. So what?
Mhm.
He was that it's part of life.
Uh-huh. Exactly, exactly. Exactly. And I think that tells you about like the complexity about the human experience. It's like no story. It's like, okay, this was the good guy, the bad guy. It's like it's much more complex than that.
Mm,
And that's what makes it more interesting and more
yeah.
human at the end of the day, I
Mm.
think.
And I just felt like I shouldn't censor him for being himself. And he said it's not about me being on Squid Game because it's far from that.
Hmm.
And I respected that because it wasn't a big Squid Game. Yes, he gave me material about, his headshot for when he was in Squid Game. But I think I mentioned it once or twice. But because of his connections where he was, he had to be mindful of what he said on that. So he knew in
Wow.
this. But the fact was, he's earned money just by being himself. Now, I could
Hmm.
easily say, okay, I want 100,000 of that, for example, but I'm not going
Hmm.
to. The only
Yeah.
time I ask for anyone to help me is if I'm doing a promotion to say, can you sponsor the show by, donating? But I don't automatically throw it in the face or I don't put it in a post edit to say, sponsor me, sponsor me.
Exactly. Hmm.
Now I could make a business out of it. And I probably will start looking at that. And there is an option on my YouTube channel if people do want to subscribe. They got the free subscription, but if they want a members only, they got paid for the members only. I will accept that. But that's their discretion. I'm not forcing on them to say pay X amount. I'm not going to say the price because I don't want to promote it
Yes,
today.
exactly. And because it's nowadays is that huge push to make everything into a business and a huge business that has to be profitable and that it is really tiring. It is really tiring.
Now, sponsorship, I don't have major sponsorship for the radio show, but I got, my partner. She's written poetry books. I've allowed her to have like a segment at the end of the podcast to say, buy her books. It's up to people if they buy her books. I've got another
Mhm.
person who's written children's books, completely different genre than my partner's book, but I've said, okay, your books can be promoted on the channel. So he's written a video and sent it to me to say, buy his books. It's not my place to say it. It's down to them to have that free material to say, okay, I'm allowed to talk about my books. I've interviewed both of them, so I know what their lives are like, but I allow them to promote themselves in such a way that it's a message that they can look at and say, okay, David's helping us by trying to get our books out.
Nice,
And that's
nice.
not me
Yeah.
being, and that's not me being silly by saying buy their books because the books are available on all bookstores.
Yeah. Yes, because it's like when you I get it. I get it. Like money moves the world, makes the world move. I get that. But it's like when you get like so caught up into like, oh, I need sponsorships, I need the money, I need the subscriptions. It becomes like, I think the price that you pay is your authenticity, because what's usually profitable, it's not going to be perhaps aligned with your most authentic self. Like, for example, like I really struggle with like right now, one of my struggles is that the thing about social media. It's like you want to post content that it's like authentic, that speaks from itself, that invites people into join your community. But at the same time, what the algorithm wants is like for you to post constantly, like, I don't know, like 5 times a day, 3 times a day. It's like absolutely insane.
Mm,
So, in order to be, I don't know, maybe sponsor or to monetize your videos, in order to get money, and it's absolutely insane. And in order to post with that much frequency, for example, in social media, you're going to lose some of your authenticity, because you're going to be making things that, I don't know, are trending or whatever.
mm.
But
But you
I
know,
that's one of my struggles right now.
but equipment, I will say, I started off on an iPad with just basic earphones,
Hmm.
and that's all I could afford. And then, like I said, I didn't have a proper camera like I got in now. I didn't have a ring light. I didn't have a proper hard drive that's got a decent size. But I took the time to invest in things, you know.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I moved
exactly.
on and I lost certain equipment, but I then got strong again. And so now I got strength. I got proper ring like that. It's positioned just above the, you know, monitor. I got a webcam that is useful for what we're talking on now. I got earphones. I got proper microphone. I got a hard drive that's a terabyte hard drive, so I can store the stuff and upload as and when, you know.
Yeah,
The thing
exactly.
I did wanted the most, I've now got, which is a green screen.
Hmm.
Before, I used to have this background, what you see behind me now, and I used to
Like,
literally disappear because it wasn't a proper green screen. But now I can
it's
move up
like,
and
yeah, you
down.
see, like you don't see like the fingers or the details, or your
Yeah,
face
or
looks
or
like
my head used
completely
to
round.
disappear into the.
And you lean backwards, and then your head disappears.
So
Yeah,
now I can
yeah.
look. I can lean right back now,
No,
and
that's perfect. That's perfect.
you know, you can't tell unless I really move in such a way. So look, you see, slightly beside this side. You can see the slight edge.
Yes, I can see like perfectly. For example, your hair and everything.
So
Otherwise, it would be like the blurring that comes within the apps
yeah.
that we use,
So
or everything on the background. That, like right
so
now, it's just a piece of art, and that's it.
so you know, I like the experience because I can go like this,
Yes.
and
Wow.
so I
Much
can.
better. Much better.
So there's the guest I'm talking about, who I was referring to from Squid Game. That's the example. So and then I can make it look professional. I can make it look
Nice.
like I'm in a
Nice.
rotating studio.
Exactly. No, no, no. Besides, it's absolutely perfect because, for example, your chair, the outline of your chair, it's perfect.
And look, if
It's-
I sit in such a way, you won't think I'm sitting in a chair.
No, no, exactly, exactly. So yeah, investing it's important, and things also take time, because
Yeah.
also we live. I think we live in a society that tells you you have to be okay. If you want something, you have to be instantly successful, and things take time. Like for example, like to have your first like major job. Like for example, as an actor, it happens to me like, okay, I'm going to be casted for very small roles on movies, or perhaps something like on advertising. And I'd say like, I want to be in a movie. I want to be the main star in a movie. Okay, sure, but it takes time. It takes time. So I think in this journey, in this new chapter of my life, I am trying also to stay patient. Like, okay, go with the flow, to live every moment and to take my time. Because it takes time.
Mm. So going to the movies, what you have made, where are they available if they are still available to watch?
I think one of the most recent one, the one that won that because also a fun part of making the movie, it was like sending it to film festivals. And we did really well in some festivals. Of course, it wasn't I don't know Sundance or I didn't win a BAFTA award, but it was really fun like to get selected, get like sometimes honor mention, and my latest short film, the one that won all those awards, it's available on Vimeo. On Vimeo, the platform, so everybody can
And
watch them there.
I'll make sure I will attach the link to that. I find it on.
Perfect. And what's really helpful if my story resonates with anyone, anyone wants to join my journey, they can follow me on Instagram. That's really helpful because it's like to get the most people possible on board. It is really helpful.
And your name on Instagram is,
My name on Instagram is Bruno Arias Van. Van. Like, that's it. Like, because my name is Bruno Arias Van Lierde. So, Bruno Arias Van, all together. That's my username on Instagram.
okay, and I'll make sure that's in the description. And so the close of the interview goes slowly, and this is using my actor's voice. What would you say to Biden people wanting to push themselves into the journey of acting or into even filmmaking? What would you say to them to inspire them?
Oof. I would say if it is truly what you want, um, do it. Don't think about it too much. Just go for it. Prepare yourself, like learn, but not too much. Because it's like at one point you just need to do it. You need to learn with the experience and you need to experience it. Because sometimes you have an idea on your head of what is it about, but living through it, it's a completely different experience. So I would say like if there's something that you really want, like acting, directing your short film, do it. You don't need more information, you don't need more advice, you just need to do it, and you're going to learn by doing it. So
Amazing.
that would be like the most important advice.
That is amazing to me. And I'd just like to say thank you for sharing your journey with us today, Bruno. I know acting can be difficult and challenging, but it's not scary as it sounds. And it's about believing in yourself to push yourself to do what you want without feeling the pressure. You've come from where you are to where you are now, and it will only get better and better, I believe.
I hope so. I hope so. I really hope so. And it is the thing that I want to leave with this thought, just to say that I really wake up every morning. I wasn't depressed like now. I wake up every morning like excited. Okay, I'm going to send an email to this person. I'm going to do this casting. Maybe I can try doing something new in Chile, maybe something new in Mexico. I wake up really excited because at the end of the day, I am living and I'm building the life that I want to live. and that makes me really happy.
I'm glad of that. Thank you for sharing your journey today, Bruno.
Thank you so much for having me, David, and good luck. I hope to see you soon as well.
Thank you.
Support the show and show your love to these amazing people. Follow their links in the description for more.
Hi, my name is Amy Harrison. I just published another book, and this is the first hard copy I've released. Let's claw right into a sneak peek. Hi, I'm my Galaxy Brat. Error. It is becoming clearer. Y'all probably think I'm annoying. Turns out they all just plain boring. I'm just being me, the realest version. Sweet on the inside, tell like it is on the outside. Yes, I embrace love, never hate. But honesty flies in my mouth like a dove. Be careful before it's too late. If you want to read more, visit the link in the description. Meow at you later.
Hi there, I'm Michael Drake, and I've written a book called The Paradox of a Mortal Mind. It's an invitation to slow down and really think about your life as a temporary part of who you are as a person. I want you to step back and think about, the things, the chances that you have in life, and the relationships that you have in life, and what you value. And the book is, like I said, an invitation to slow down, really think about where you are and where you want to go, and just embrace the beauty of impermanence. Embrace the fact that you will be a picture on the wall one of these days, and it's your opportunity to leave an impact on the people that you love and the community that you have. And it's really about how you make people feel at the end of the day. And so you can pick up my book anywhere on Amazon, anywhere in the world. It'll ship right to your door. It's called The Paradox of a Mortal Mind. It's by Michael Drake. And I also have a website. It's called themortalmind.com. And you can get my audiobook, my ebook, and I hope you enjoy it. And thank you very much for being here.
And I've just been listening to the Paramedic Chris children's books on audio again, and I just love it because they've given a tribute in one of them to my dad as well, who passed away a few years ago. I love audio books, and it's great to walk around, and it's great to sit at the computer, if you're out jogging or wherever, to listen to them as well. All 4 of the Paramedic Chris children's books are available on audiobook from Amazon. Go and take a listen to them. You won't be disappointed. You'll hear what happens when a community pulls together and supports one another. The best thing is to pop over to my website, paramedicchriskidsbooks.org, and you'll see the links on the shop page. Keep safe, everyone, and thank you for being you.
The Journey Podcast explores stories of personal growth, challenges, and life-changing moments. Each episode dives into unique experiences, offering insights and inspiration for listeners navigating their own paths. I believe everyone has a story worth sharing. If you'd like to share your journey with David and others, email your story to wisewords1983@reborn.com, and it may be featured in a future episode.